And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host, Dan, aka smAsho, and we're looking at the sun in 131 angstroms to see a sunspot has formed in the southeast, down in this area here. And it kind of happened spontaneously in yesterday afternoon. And we'll show you some close-ups of that momentarily here. First, let's take a look at the fields. And there you can see the fields associated with that sunspot. Looks like it's currently alpha class. Here's a 304 angstrom view, and there are a bunch of filaments down here to the south and east of that area. There's the fade back to 171 angstroms. Good stuff. It's a cycle 25 sunspot. You can tell just by the latitude, but also the polarity tells us that it is cycle 25. So there's a good image of the filaments as well as the sunspot itself. 304 angstroms. And here's the 171 angstroms view. And this is quite a great view here, folks. Let that play through a second time and move on to more stuff. Lots more stuff. Next, looking at the real-time solar wind. Nothing too extravagant happening there. Fairly steady when it comes to phi angle, currently around 300 degrees. Solar wind density 5.9 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed background levels at 323 kilometers a second. Pretty weak activity. Here is the magnetohydrodynamic pressure. It's the geospace magnetosphere movies, and we try to cover 4 hours of this data per day as sort of an archiving service, as this has yet to allow us to check out old data. And the University of Michigan Geospace Model V1.5 is probably the best model of the magnetosphere. Main pressure there in the magnetotail, not in the bow shock region. Now next we're going to look at ground magnetic perturbations, going a little closer to home here, and we'll see the main northern ones are over the Siberian North Pole, and you can see that the South Pole has indeed left the Antarctic continent and is in the southern Indian Ocean there. What will happen next during the geomagnetic excursion? We have no idea, as the magnetic environment can suddenly change. Let's view it from the poles for once. We don't always do that, but let's do it today, and you can see how the main magnetic perturbations from the South Pole are centered very close to the edge of the Antarctic continent, and the North Pole, of course. You can see perturbations mainly over the Canadian North Pole here, not the Siberian one, as there are really two geomagnetic North Poles during this polar excursion. What will happen next is anybody's guess. Part of the reason why we're keeping an eye on it. And when I say eye on, the pun's intentional. By the way, thanks to our patrons, the real source of funding for these videos. Please consider sponsoring us. We've got 2 membership levels there, $1 a month and $9.99 a month. We're also on Subscribestar, and that's $3 a month there, thanks to our one-time donors, etc. And we are streaming live once again to twitch.tv/smAshomash, and we do upload all the videos onto BitChute as well. And welcome to another Smashlights section of the smAsho stream, where we take a pause and we talk about whatever we want. Next thing we want to talk about is China. What's made in China? Now, whether it's made or not, I really don't care. I'm just going to take this nice stainless steel pen and I'm going to dispel that real quickly. See, that's a symbolic representation of my immune system, folks, as I am a living laboratory. And as any pro cyclist, such as Colleen Gulick here, will agree, she's a living laboratory and a a living billboard also, which is the main aspect of being a cyclist. Let's talk about a video to premiere today at 2 p.m. And we're beefing up the driving, riding, and pro tips playlist with this video from yesterday. It's about 40 minutes long, featuring local pro cyclist Colleen Gulick. We'll be talking about cycling and glucose monitoring and racing and other nutritional stuff, as well as just some shop talk for cyclists. So tune in at 2 p.m. Eastern Time today to see that. We'll be attending the live premiere personally as well. Talk about Jeep Earth structures. Well, there are deep earth structures that can help to build Jeep Earth structures. There may be some hidden metal loads. So please leave a comment if you're into loads. Anyway, this could be a new era of mining, as there is an increased demand for base metals, as we don't recycle everything, unfortunately. Things like lead and zinc and copper. And here's Mike Hoggard's page. Also, it is linked from the phys.org article. If you head to phys.org, go to the Earth section, you'll see this article here about geologists identifying deep Earth structures that may signal hidden metal lodes. And then here's the treasure map by Mike Hoggard. It is linked in the article. And oh my God, are we talking about China now? Have you learned how to say China, folks? C-H-I-D-A, China, like you have a sinus infection. Do you think China has exposed itself as a massive paper tiger? Do you think Russia and Saudi Arabia made terrible decisions when they decided to increase oil production at the same time that the U.S. requested that they reduce oil production? China, Russia, Saudi Arabia. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you may not see things like this. Yesterday I took a photograph of Venus while it was already light out. There it is. Instagram.com/smAsho. And geez, we're almost to 500. We're almost to 500 followers there. Son of a beehive. All right, now we got a very interesting planet here. It's Kelt-9b. And talk about a weird place. This thing goes right through the polar fields of its local star. And it does so in spectacular fashion. It's got an orbit that's as eccentric as you could possibly get. This planet goes around its star's poles. So it's every time it passes through one of those poloidal Z fields, it experiences summer. When it passes over the equator, it experiences winter. A very, very strange system. And it's doing this orbit in only 36 hours. Now this star is rotating at incredibly fast speeds. As the star orbits in only, I think, 17 hours? 16 hours. So the star rotates in 16 hours, and the planet goes around this insane polar orbit in only, whatever I said. All right, let's play this again. Yeah, so these are actually the poles of the star out here, and the equator is actually here. And this planet is doing a completely polar orbit. Talk about a weird place. And the planet is so hot that the surface of it is hotter than some stars. So Kelt 9 is one strange place, to say the least. It experiences a full range of stellar temperatures, including what amounts to a peculiar seasonal sequence. It experiences summer when it swings over each hot pole, and winter when it passes over the star's cooler midsection. And this thing rotates so fast that it's actually quite oblong. It's sort of flat, the star. It's a little pancake shaped. And a weird place, to say the least, as it's in basically a perpendicular orbit, completely alien to what's going on in our solar system. I just want to revisit this story here. We covered it yesterday about this Alzheimer's disease drug, which could reverse blood vessel damage and diabetes. This is basically an aspect of human immortality here, and this is one of the most important breakthroughs possibly in decades. The idea of being able to reverse damage caused by diabetes to blood vessels is pretty extreme stuff, as well as curing Alzheimer's. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that it is. Let's stay in the world of medicine. Rand Paul telling Dr. Fauci that it's a fatal conceit to believe that a group of experts knows what's best for everyone. Now, Rand Paul, like I, is a huge proponent of decentralized control of government.
Thank you. Fatal conceit is the concept that central planning with decision-making concentrated in a few hands.
It's a great way to screw things up, folks. And let's play some mood music.
Can never fully grasp the millions of complex individual interactions occurring simultaneously in the marketplace.
As he talks to a panel of people who are wearing masks and sitting 6 feet apart, you have to ask yourself, what is up with that? Anyway, it wasn't really that much of a grilling. You'll see all over the internet that the headline will say, Rand Paul grills Dr. Fauci. But really what was going on is Dr. Fauci has been misquoted by a lot of people who have an agenda. And anyway, this article's from Real Clear Politics. It is from yesterday. And check this one out. We got an article from HuffPo here. We've got an article here from HuffPo indicating that most Americans favor mask requirements according to a poll. Now, it's not a very big poll, and frankly, I don't really believe it, as I'm a proponent in the belief that forcing healthy people to quarantine or wear masks is evil, I guess would be the best term for it. Anyway, here are the stats on the HuffPo poll. They polled 1,000 U.S. citizens, and they asked them these questions. How often do you wear a face mask or other covering for your mouth and nose when you're in public, but not near other people? For instance, while taking a walk in a quiet area. I don't know why you would do such a stupid thing. How often do you wear a face mask or other covering for your mouth and nose when you're in public and near other people? A more relevant question. When you wear a face mask in public around other people, do you feel like other people are mostly judging you positively, judging you negatively, judging you neither way, or not sure? And which of these do you think is the main benefit for wearing a face mask? Do you think deciding whether or not to wear a face mask is more a matter of public health, a matter of personal choice, or not sure? Would you favor or oppose a government rule in the area? Stravinsky's getting pretty loud here. Would you favor or oppose a government rule in the area you live requiring people to wear a mask when they're in public around other people? Which sounds like an insane proposal. Would you favor or oppose stores in the area where you live having policies requiring you to wear a face mask? Now, personally, I prefer to not enter stores that require me to wear a face mask. I indeed told the convenience store 2 days ago that they're now my favorite convenience store because they're not requiring us to wear a mask. So I don't know what else to say besides up yours, Dr. Rachel Levine and Governor Tom Wolf, because healthy people should have a choice whether or not to wear a mask, whether or not to patronize businesses, etc. A government mandate to do something like that is ridiculous. Does seeing other people wearing face masks in public bother you? It bothers me, especially when I see somebody walking down the street by themselves wearing a mask. I find that to be complete covidiocy. Does other people not wearing masks bother you? There's the data on that. And again, this is only 1,000 U.S. adults here. And keep in mind, folks, any poll is going to be biased because polls are only answered by people willing to answer polls. See that? Should the Trump administration wear masks? Do you think Trump and other government officials should or should not wear masks when in public and meeting other people. Do you think it is a sign of weakness to wear a mask when you're in public near other people? Do you think it's a sign of respectfulness to others to wear a mask? Anyway, are you scared? Let us know. Let's talk about Forbes, who censored an article about the alarmism associated with global warming, now covering a story about a restaurant where servers carried guns. Apparently a GOP incumbent was upset by it. I guess Colorado is an open carry state, and here's Lauren Boebert, the owner of Shooter's Grill, a restaurant in Rifle, Colorado, where servers open carry firearms. Seems like a bad idea to rob this place. What say you? By the way, we salute you, Lauren Boebert, for not wearing a mask in your restaurant. So, are you scared? Have you survived the global pandemic so far? Well, chances are you have, or you wouldn't be watching the video. Please leave a comment if you're currently on your deathbed. Just kidding, folks. Alright, so smashamash.com/forum has recently been updated here. The section on how Google is a scam and not a verb. User Boj says, if you start a Google Lou movement, I'm in. I'm frustrated with my Google Pixel phone. I feel like I'm trapped. I purchased it a few years ago because Windows phones were falling behind, and I am irrationally anti-Apple. How I miss my Carl Zeiss camera on my last Nokia. Google Pixel sucks compared to that last cell phone camera. Sign me up. Now, I've heard Google Pixels are among the best Android devices. I guess Google wants their devices to run since they branded them with their own name. So, I mean, the problem with smartphones is that they measure their performance in engagement, not in productivity. So essentially, that's the opposite of what you want in a computer. I don't want to be engaged. I want my inputs to be automated to the point where it increases my productivity and computing power. Engagement-based metrics for devices and apps is evil. That is, if you waste more time on your Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, and the rest of your pathetic junkware, the better it is according to their own metering. In other words, Facebook and Google and Twitter and other companies that make apps, they want you engaged, which means spending more time doing this, wasting your life, and less time using your computer to enhance your productivity. These companies are 100% misleading their shareholders, and that's 100% illegal. Just wait until 2021. Google, Facebook, and Twitter especially will pay dearly. And I've ordered a pallet of popcorn. It should be glorious. And thanks for tuning in to another episode of Smash Lights, the section where we talk about whatever we want. And again, don't forget to tune in to today's premiere event. It's going to happen at 2 p.m. about things like driving, riding, cycling, racing, glucose monitoring, etc. And let's move on to some more stuff. Back to data. 10.7 centimeter radio flux is at 68, so quite low levels there of radio flux, but don't be surprised to see that increase as we see a sunspot, and it's significantly organized there. It's only an alpha class sunspot, but don't be surprised to see the radio flux rise a bit. Still at solar minimum levels. Basically, we saw some X-ray flaring, and we did see a coronal mass ejection as I forecasted yesterday. We'll get to it in a minute. Proton flux is flatline, no surprises there. Here's the Gong 2 data, and we've got a coronal mass ejection on the opposite side of the sun, which just recently kicked off in the past 24 hours. We'll show you that momentarily. There could be one building on our side also, as there's some filamentary activity going on. We are solidly in the North Pole current sheets right now, shown here in green. And we don't expect to be out of there anytime soon. Although there is some more activity rising on the eastern portion of the sun. So, also, we did see some very high readings here on the ghost magnetometer, possibly an indication that the north solar polar field is gaining in strength, and that is a good thing as well. Let's hope so. And here's the coronal mass ejection I was talking about. You can see off to the non-Earth facing side. Earth is out in this direction. We did see some plasma kind of stand up at the same time as that happened. On the Earth side, right here, you can see right as this ejector releases on the non-Earth side, looks like a small coronal mass ejection may be getting ready to release on the Earth side as well. And that happens regularly as it changes the surface tension characteristics of the plasma on the surface of the star. And let's look at the LASCO C2 to show you don't really see any sort of halo ejecta or anything like that. Again, that coronal mass ejection was on the opposite side of the sun, not the Earth-facing side, and this satellite's in between the Earth and the sun in the SOHO suite of instruments. Here's the C3. Comet Neowise is no longer on the view here, but it's been brightening. You can read all about that one on spaceweather.com if you like. Nothing to write home about there at C3. Here's where stuff is in the solar system, and I don't know what's going on with the Planets Today's interface, but I can't advance beyond July 2nd, so I'll just leave it there. Welcome to July. All the planets are piled up on one side of the sun. And, yeah, there's where they are now. I'd show you where they'd be in a week, but it's not been working. So here's where stars are and so on. If you get up before dawn, again, go check out Venus, the third brightest object in the sky. You should also be able to see Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars up there if you're up before it's light. Goes electron flux showing some pretty low levels here, once again. And there is a forecast for a coronal hole wind stream to arrive, so we're expecting to see these crater. Once again, we're expecting lower electron flux levels. Here's a total electron content forecast, the entire air column between things like your GPS satellite and your ground level, including the thermosphere, ionosphere, and plasmasphere. And we see continued anomalies here around the Caribbean and Central Pacific. Small electron charge ups there at nighttime. Nothing too extreme, and again, we're expecting to see this actually drop to lower levels. So some of those anomalies should be gone soon. Here's just the ionosphere layer. This is 6 hours of data, courtesy Government of Australia Bureau of Meteorology. And we see a significantly discharged nighttime side, which is no surprise, as the main magnetohydrodynamic pressure, as we showed you in the geospace magnetosphere movies, is in the magnetotail region. So for you new viewers out there, to kind of understand what's going on with this image, the sun is someplace in this area during northern hemisphere summer, and this high frequency ionosphere always trails the sun a bit. Anyway, that latest image is looking pretty normal there at 9 o'clock Universal Time. Earthquake rundown over the past 24 includes no 6+ magnitude quakes, although we saw 5.0 in Nevada. Let's check out the location of that one. There's a location of that one. Southeast of Hawthorne Army Depot, near Tonopah. All right, let's get back to the list here. We don't want the video to be too long. Here's a deep quake in western South America, one of the biggest spots for deep earthquakes. It's a 4.7 magnitude at nearly 200 kilometers. And we're just going to scroll up the list. There's a Kamchatkan quake. Here's one at Vanuatu. It's a 4.5 magnitude at 126 kilometers. Here's one in Utah. It's an extremely shallow quake at 500 meters above sea level. There's a location of that one. I'll bet there's some great mountain biking in that area. All right, let's get back to the list here. And again, we are streaming live to twitch.tv/smAshomash. If you want to see these videos as they're made, check us out there. I think we only have like 44 subscribers there. Here's another deep quake in western South America. It's a 4.2 magnitude at 190 kilometers. And just scrolling up the list, another deep quake at Vanuatu. It's a 5.1 at 129 kilometers. That one coming in about an hour and a half ago at 7:38 Universal Time. Next volcano rundown includes Obiko, flight level 8,000 there. Here's a new one on the list, Nishinoshima. It's a Japanese volcano. It's done some effusive explosive eruptions. And the central crater has extended in the southwest direction. Explosive activity at Dakono has produced a 7,000-foot plume of ash. Makushin in the Aleutian Islands is showing some fluctuating seismicity. The earthquakes may be related to the movement of magma beneath the east side of the volcano, interactions between an earthquake fault and a nearby geothermal field, the activation of more than one fault in the area, or a combination of those scenarios. Popocatépetl, down near Mexico City, is erupting, exploding indeed, producing a remnant volcanic ash cloud with a flight level of 21,000. Sangay volcanic ash continuing to be emitted there. Revenador exploding, flight level 16,000, and explosive activity and strong intermittent puffs at Sabancaya are producing a 26,000-foot plume of ash. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. Next, looking at pressure cells here on windy.com. We're going to let that advance into the GFS forecast to show all you meteorology nerds where it's expected to be pressure-wise at noon tomorrow. There's where we expect things to be at noon tomorrow Eastern Time, according to the GFS forecast. Windy.com's got a great mobile app also, by the way. And let's talk about environmentalism once again. Forbes. What are you doing, Forbes? Why are you censoring the award-winning environmentalist apology over 3-decade climate scare? That's not the way you're supposed to report on information there, Forbes. Anyway, his book Apocalypse Never is highly recommended. It is available on Amazon. You could get it in audiobook form, free with your Audible trial. Who knew? Or you could order it in hardcover for $26.99. Did you know that polar bears are affected badly by winters that are too cold? It causes them to go south into towns and raid restaurant dumpsters. When it's warm enough, polar bears find it easy to get to their favorite food through the ice, seals. Let's talk about lightning here at lightningmaps.org, and there's a bunch of it as we see some harsh weather once again. Dude, don't be harsh on my mellow with your harsh weather, bruh. Bro. Kansas City, bro. There's thunder rolling in, bro. Wow, that's a major lightning storm. Check it out. That is one heck of a cell. Man, oh man, that is some active lightning right there. That's active enough that I can't read the name. St. Joseph, there's thunder rolling in, to say the least. And Kansas City, it might be headed your way. We'll show you more in a minute. First, we're going to look at water vapor maps for Africa and for Europe. Water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. Water vapor map for the Western world. The Americas. And we still have this rotating low pressure system there over New Hampshire. Water vapor map for the U.S. And we're going to definitely zoom in on that area over Nebraska and Iowa. As, bro, people's mellows are being totally harshed. That looks like a heck of a storm. Let's hope it's not causing too much damage. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some damage associated with that one. As with that much lightning, it could also be experiencing things like damaging wind and hail. Anyway, there's what's going on with that situation. And there's a whole bunch of dry air, both over here and down here, which is compressing and holding that moisture in place, causing the storms to stagnate and move in odd directions. So don't be surprised if you see storms rolling in from the wrong direction, folks. We saw it happen here in Pennsylvania just yesterday. There's what's going on the Doppler radar. And these storms around Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia look like they're moving much faster. And let's move on to thank the Smash team for tuning in to the Smash stream, whether you viewed it live or whether you viewed it Memorex. We greatly appreciate your tuning in. If you do view live, feel free to leave us a comment. We'll be more than happy to respond to it. And again, don't forget to check out our driving, riding, and pro tips special featuring special guest Colleen Gulick. And thanks for flying, American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the smash plane at all times. We've got 3 bonus features. First of all, the intensitygram. To show you this sunspot has actually degraded since I started making the video. So I still think it'll be named as it's been there for quite a while. Here's the magnetogram. Another bit of activity right here. So a little bit of an uptick there in solar activity. Let's take a look at one more image, or series of images rather. A 48-hour video from the SDO at 94 angstroms. And this is one of the wavelengths where 10 images are taken per minute instead of only 2, giving us 5 times higher temporal resolution in terms of 94 and 131 angstroms. Now those wavelengths are specifically used to monitor things like flares and sunspots, coronal mass ejections as well. So anyway, we're out. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink, and if you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that covidiously absent from your multiverse. Also, please don't forget to press like and subscribe. Share on your social media, tell your friends, your foes, and your neutrals. And we shall see you later this afternoon.